I don't want to be emotional. I don't want you to be emotional right now. So let's just talk about the state of the race before we walked into this thing. Before we walked into this, Trump was ahead, is ahead. Every poll said it, even the betting odds were in his favor. Dome wasn't resonating, and Trump was ahead. Right? That's where we were. Going into this debate, Trump was the known quantity. He was the guy who was ahead and he was known. Kamala Harris was not. She's behind and she doesn't really have policy positions and routinely comes off like this idiot on the campaign trail because that's what she is. So we all, myself included, expected tonight to be this mercy killing where Trump just absolutely crushed her. It didn't happen. Look, it was a bad night. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for you. I've never done that. It was a really bad night. Yes, ABC was awful. The debate moderators were awful. Yes, it was 3-on-1. Yes, I know all this. But look, when you accept a debate on ABC, as the GOP does, they do this every single time. When you accept a debate on a network that hates your guts, they spend 364 days a year telling everybody that you're a filthy Nazi, and then you allow them to host a debate one night, then that's the way that's going to go. So you have to bake that into the cake. It should have been baked into the cake. He's going to take on Dome. He's going to take on the debate moderators. Debate moderators were everything you screamed at the television all night. I screamed it too. They were awful. They were terrible. They were miserable. So let's just get this out of the way, and then I'll wrap this thing up here. Kamala Harris did very well tonight. Stop! Don't yell. Stop yelling. I don't care. I'm right. I know she lied about everything. She's a wretched demon. Of course she lied about everything. I understand that. She was obviously some nervous moments, some nerves there, but much more composed than I expected her to be. More importantly than that, she was on offense all night long. And yes, the lies and the moderators help. I got it. I got it. She was on offense all night long. The Donald Trump from the first debate, remember that when he debated Joe Biden? Joe Biden was, of course, a disaster, but Trump was on message. And not only was he on message, he was doing that calm, cool, on message thing. Hey, I don't know what he just said. Remember when Jake Tapper in the very first debate brought up January 6th to Donald Trump? Do you remember his answer? It's hard to remember because there have been so many stories, but Jake Tapper brings up January 6th, worst day in history, just like they did tonight. Donald Trump's answer was one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen. You know what he said? I'm paraphrasing, but in the first debate, he said January 6th, oh, you mean back when we had a secure border before Joe Biden and Kamala Harris took over and opened it up? Like he nailed it. He just nailed it. Immediately pivoted, no defense, no nothing, and talked about what he wanted to talk about. No defense, no nothing. Tonight was exactly the opposite of that. The Harris campaign, obviously, they planned for this. And to their credit where it's due, even though I hate them and they're my enemy, they planned well. They planned to get under Donald Trump's skin, and they did on virtually everything. They had him off message. They had him defending himself on Project 2025, defending himself. They had him at one point in time. She gave this long answer, and she took a couple jabs at him about the money he inherited from his father. Trump took 30 seconds in that answer to actually nitpick the exact amount he was given by his father. As defense. We played defense all night long. I know the bias. I know ABC. I know David Muir. I know Lindsay Lip Injections, the other moderator. I understand it. But Dome had to prove to the undecided voter, which I'm not. I'm voting for Trump. The undecided voter, if there were any watching, maybe that undecided voter wanted to know, is this Kamala Harris person, is she the airhead moron that they see on the news all the time? And yeah, she was a vicious lying demon tonight, but she wasn't that. She was prepared. She was on message. Does this change anything? I don't know, but I will tell you this. There are two things that you're probably saying, or at least maybe you're tempted to say right now, that are mistakes. One, well, it was the moderators. Yeah, I agree. The moderators were bad. I agree, but just like any sports game you've ever watched, If you're the team at the end complaining about the refs, that means you lost. That's one. Two, this didn't mean anything. We love to say things like that when a debate didn't go our way. This didn't mean anything. Well, that's not true. The first presidential debate historically between two candidates, and this is the first between them, it means a lot. I already knew who I was voting for. So did you, probably. If you're watching this, you knew who you were voting for. But were there undecided voters, not really sure about Trump, don't know about Kamala Harris, who tuned into this election, maybe at least for 20 minutes, a half hour to see, okay, is he a Nazi? Is she an airhead? Were there undecided voters that tuned in and will decide? Yeah, of course there were. There always are, especially on the first presidential debate. People do decide based on this. We don't understand, we political people like you and me, we don't understand how much more wired in, how much more informed we are than the average voter. The normal American goes to work, kids, school, food, mows the lawn, watches football on Sunday. They don't know anything. As hard as this is to believe, for a lot of Americans, this may have been their first real introduction to Kamala Harris. And I'm not saying she came off wonderfully, but she didn't come off like the ditzy communist moron she actually is. She prepared well. She did well. This was a good night for Democrats. It was a bad night for us. Is it going to change the election? I don't know. We have 50-some days of blocking and tackling now, getting out the vote, fundraising. All kinds of things matter now. The debate is over. It is what it is. But this was a good night for them. It was not a good night for us. They played offense. They decided what to talk about. We played defense. We looked small. They didn't look as small. Look, they're Democrats. They're always going to look bad. But overall, it was a bad night for us. All right? I'm going to break this down in a lot more detail on my show on the First TV tomorrow, on my radio show tomorrow. We'll go over all of it. We'll lick our wounds a little bit, and then we'll pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and we'll get back to it. All right? Bye.